Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about 3 key players returning to practice for the New Orleans Saints. And we're also going to be talking about head coach Sean Payton refusing to answer some of the media's questions. But thank you so much for allowing the State of the Saints podcast to be a part of your morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. But let's go ahead and talk about the 3 players that returned to practice. Running backs, Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, along with right tackle Ryan Ramczyk, were seen at practice on Sunday. And that is good news for us in the Who Dat Nation, as well as the Saints organization. We know that Alvin Kamara has been the offense for the New Orleans Saints since the beginning of the season. And since Mark Ingram has returned back to the Saints via trade, he's done a really good job in the passing game and also running in between the tackles. And Ryan Ramczyk, to me, is arguably the best player on the Saints team and the best right tackle in football. So when you bring all these guys back, it's going to help tremendously. This is a struggling offense, Who Dat Nation. I mean, man, the Saints offense leaves a lot to be desired. I have to go back, way back, for me to remember the last time the Saints offense looked that bad, from what I seen on Thursday night. I mean, that was awful. And, I know a lot of people who actually went to the game, and I feel so bad for those folks. And not only them, but the people that had to watch that game on national television. I mean, the Saints look absolutely horrible offensively. I mean, and you can tell, like, the defense, that is taking its toll on the defense. And I don't care what anybody says. If you know that your offense isn't going to generate any points, you know that your offense isn't going to do anything formidable, it is going to mess with you psychologically. You can talk about these 3 and outs. You can talk about, they need to go out here and, and do this, that, and the third. But if you know that you have a quarterback that is not going to get the ball down the field, you got a running game that is going to be non-existent, the offensive line is not going to be blocking, it's going to affect you. And you're going to be like, man, it's pointless to do that. And people like to pick on the defense and talk about what the defense has been doing. But how can you go out there and put forth an effort when, you play so many plays, man, because your offense is getting those 3 and outs. So I can't really too much blame the defense for really just kind of sputtering as of late, because I just think they don't believe in the offense. And why should they? Why should you believe in the offense? I mean, I don't believe in the offense. I don't believe anybody on that offense as of right now who I've seen that's not hurt is going to help. It's going to help this offense. I mean, it is not very good. You got a bunch of role players out there that are trying to be starters. You got a quarterback that has absolutely no pulse, no charisma, no nothing. And that goes a long way, man. Look, you can say what you want about Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston was a leader. He was a guy that, he rallied the troops, man. And despite the fact that they weren't as talented offensively, he did what he could to make those guys formidable. I mean, he had Deontay Harris out there, looking like a number 1 receiver. He had Marquez Callaway out there, making plays. And he took what they had, and he did the best that he could with it. I'm not saying the same thing with Trevor Siemian, man. And sometimes you need that leadership. You need that guy that you can look at. And I don't think that people look at Trevor Siemian on the Saints team and be like, man, this guy's going to lead us to victory. I don't think the defense can do it. I don't think the offense can do it. And I just think that it's time for a change. Now, we all know that Taysom Hill has been hurt over the last couple of weeks, dealing with a foot injury. And I'm wondering to myself, why is Sean Payton allowing him to stand on the sidelines if this guy is not well enough to play? Because it's going to incite some questions, right? People are going to ask some questions about, why is Taysom Hill not being in his Swiss Army role? Why is he not out there on the field, at least a couple of plays? And, Sean Payton, I love Sean Payton. I got a lot of respect for Sean Payton. But Sean Payton is a coward in some ways. Like, you can't be up there every time your team wins and you come up with these crazy offensive plays, and then you want to stand in front of the media for like 10 to 15 minutes and beat on your chest about how great you are as a play caller and the game plan that you put together, but then want to talk 3 to 5 minutes when you lose. Like, and then you don't want to answer the questions that people need to know. Like, what is going through your mind to believe that having Taysom Hill standing on the sidelines and having an earbud in his ear like he part of the CIA, what makes you believe that that's the right decision? And better yet, why don't you allow rookie quarterback Ian Book to dress? Now, I'm not saying that Ian Book is the answer. I'm not saying that Ian Book is going to lead the Saints to victory. But if you have an injured quarterback in Taysom Hill that's not even well enough to go out there to run the ball at all, and you're using them in emergency situations, why is it that Ian Book can't dress? And you come up with this ridiculous comment about, oh, you only allow so many people on the roster, on the active roster. Man, I'm not buying it. I mean, how trash does Ian Book have to be? How trash does he have to be for him not to even be able to dress? I just don't understand it. And, I just think that is a bunch of stubbornness when it comes to Sean Payton. Sean Payton is an extremely stubborn coach. I think that he's one of those guys that he wants to go out there and he wants to be the center of attention at times. I think that he wants to take certain guys that he believes that he can actually, make something out of. For example, like Kevin White. This is when I knew for a fact that Sean Payton is just completely stubborn. Okay, so the Saints decided to keep Kevin White on the roster, even though Kevin White in a game versus Jacksonville Jaguars dropped 2 passes, right? They put him on the practice squad, and then they activated him to to the 53-man roster during game day. They put him out there on the field, and they put Lil Jordan Humphrey in street clothes. Now, everybody knows that Kevin White, has been a disaster since he came into the league. He cannot get out the gate. He's been dealing with injuries throughout his entire career. And the Saints decide that they're going to use him as a project. Why are you trying to use this guy as a project right now when you can't afford to have a guy to be a project? You had Lil Jordan Humphreys on the sideline for 4 to 5 weeks. Then you decide to let Kevin White go, and Lil Jordan Humphreys gets his first game back against the Philadelphia Eagles. He scores a touchdown. And then last week versus the Buffalo Bills, he was the leading receiver for the New Orleans Saints. So that tells me right there that Sean Payton is going to do whatever he wants to do, even though it's not in the best interest. Now, I don't believe that Ian Book is just that bad that he can't dress. I don't feel like Ian Book can be any worse than what I've seen out of Trevor Siemian over the last 2 weeks. I feel like this guy deserves an opportunity. If not, then why in the heck did you draft him? And I get it, man. I know that Sean Payton doesn't really care for young quarterbacks. He just doesn't. If you look at his track record over the 15, 16 years he's been coaching the New Orleans Saints, you see that he does not really, gravitate to young rookie quarterbacks. We've seen them get at Ryan Griffin. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of these guys were able to even see the field or even try to get any type of experience. I mean, we know that none of those guys were going to be the starting quarterback because we had Drew, but it just seems like he was willing to go out here and get a veteran backup quarterback than to allow some of these young rookies to be behind Drew Brees and develop. And, sometimes guys may not give you everything at practice. Some guys aren't good practice guys. You know, and when they get out there on the field, they look like a completely different person. And some people aren't gamers. They're really good practice guys. I mean, we've seen this with Adrian Arrington and Brandon Coleman back in the day. Those were the guys that always see him at practice, but then when it's time to go out there and execute, they couldn't do it. So I just think that he needs to give these young guys an opportunity. And you know, I also believe that looking at this wide receiver room, I think you should give other guys opportunities. I haven't seen anything from the Saints wide receivers that tells me that any of these guys are worth the price of admission. I think all of these guys struggle. I think all of these guys most likely won't give you at least 50 to 60 yards. So why not go out here and try to see what you have on this practice squad? The Dallas Cowboy game is going to be interesting because when I look at the New Orleans Saints and I see all the injuries, and then I look at the Dallas Cowboys and I see all the things that they're dealing with, you know, I mean, everything tells you that it should be favoring the Saints because, I mean, your coaching staff is missing from the Dallas Cowboys and all that. But, I mean, this is a bad football team right now. I'm talking to New Orleans Saints. This is a bad football team. They got a lot of issues that they need to deal with. And I have to say, man, I've been very disappointed at what I've seen from some of these key players, man. Some of these players that you're supposed to rely on in order to have the Saints where they need to be. It just seems like a lot of these guys out there just kind of just going through the motions. You know, it just don't seem like they're really into it the way that I once felt that they did. And I know it has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, the offense has been sputtering. And also I want people to understand how important, you know, Drew Brees was to this team. I think we're starting to see that. And also for all those that may have been on the fence this year, it shows you how important Jameis Winston was. Because Jameis Winston made the Saints formidable even with this group, right? I mean, now you're seeing all these different injuries and you're seeing all these, you know, these guys coming in and they dropping passes and they're not executing. And I mean, it just shows you how important the quarterback position actually is. It shows you how important those two guys were with Drew Brees throughout the years, helping the offense be where they need to be, pointing out where the blitz is coming from, you know, telling guys where to block, you know what I'm saying, audibling in certain situations to have a matchup favor the offense. When you don't have a guy like that on the field anymore, you're going to see issues, you know, constantly. And I just think that because Drew Brees isn't here, you know, you see a lot of guys on the offensive line struggling because, you know, they don't have that cheat sheet back there in Drew Brees. And also I just feel like when it comes to explosive plays, you don't have that guy, you know, like Jameis Winston that's going to take that shot down the field. I mean, this is just bad football right now. And the Saints are going to have to do something about it if they're going to make a run at the playoffs. Now, I'm just a realist, folks. Okay, I'm a big Saints fan, but I'm a realist. I don't see the Saints making the playoffs. I don't see the Saints making the playoffs. It would be a shock to me if they end up if they're in that number. No pun intended. I just think that they have a lot of issues that they need to deal with. You see these other teams that jockeying for position. I feel like they have the hands on deck. They got the players that they need to in order to turn the corner. I don't see that for the New Orleans Saints. I think that it's going to be interesting. I don't feel like the Saints are going to give up. I don't think they're going to quit. But I do think that it's going to be tough for these guys because, you know, no matter who the quarterback is, you're not going to get elite quarterback play from any of these guys. I'm pretty sure Taysom Hill is going to be playing in a game versus the Dallas Cowboys, but Taysom Hill isn't the answer in my opinion. I mean, I think he can win some games, but I don't think that when it comes down to it, Taysom Hill can make that throw to win the game. I just don't. I see the Saints kind of dealing with the same issues. And, you know, when I look at, you know, the offense, I just don't see the cavalry coming. I mean, Alvin Kamara can come back and you can probably run the ball in between the tackles, throw the ball, and catch the ball out of the backfield. But I still think that offensively, this team is going to struggle. You have wide receivers that can't win their one-on-one battles. You got guys that can't get open. And when they do get open, they're not catching the football. They can't catch those contested catches. I mean, basically, the Saints wide receivers, the only way they can catch the football is there's nobody around them And you know what I'm saying? The ball is like right in their hands. Like if they have to go out there and you know what I'm saying, and have to battle for the ball, they're not going to come down with it. We've seen this week after week, and I'm very comfortable in saying that. Sometimes you got to make those tough catches. Sometimes it's not going to be that easy catch when you're wide open. Sometimes you got to go out there and you got to want the ball more than the defender does. So it's going to be tough sledding for the New Orleans Saints. I'm glad to see that those three players came back to practice. Hopefully the Saints will be able to get some other guys back if they want to try to make a run at it, but it is going to be tough for the black and gold down the stretch. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about Sean Payton's unwillingness to address the quarterback situation? And what do you think about the three players returning back to practice? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, and previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Till next time.